Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom. I am David, your host, and joining me today off of the Instagram is someone that I fell in love with their cosplays, of course, because on Instagram, I know it's a lot of easy times to find people that want to talk about their fandoms because blood, sweat, and tears go into the amazing work that people do for their cosplay photography. And today I have Cindy Moon joining me. Cindy, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. I didn't know how long to accent the moon because you've got more than two O's in your
Yep.
name.
I have seven O's, and depending on how long you want to hold it, it's correct. So, yeah.
That is, see, I like that. I like the unique names like Cindy Moon.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've considered changing it because it is long, and whenever I've asked, people have just said add more O's, so I can't really take that away. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah, now, so I fell in love with your cosplays on your Instagram page, and I told you before we got started that, I really enjoy the work that you do, and we'll definitely be talking about cosplays
yep.
later in the episode. But one of your big fandoms, I guess it's like an intertwined fandom, and we're going to get tangled up in it, and I'm going to try and pun my way through
Yeah, I just
on
noticed
occasion.
your pun.
Yes, uh, you're into Marvel,
Mhm.
but you're also into Spider-Man. So where would you like to get started with this conversation? Marvel or specifically Spider-Man?
I feel like if we start talking about Marvel, I will start talking about Spider-Man. So I feel like it's
Okay.
going to coincide no matter what we choose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just tangled all together in a web that
Yeah,
we can't get free.
yeah, no pun intended.
Now, with Marvel, because it's such a huge fandom at this point, with movies and TV shows and video games, and of course the comic books that started it all, where did you get your start in the Marvel fandom? Where did you originally, what's your origin story?
Oh, yes, my origin story. I love that. Um, the first memory I really have when it comes to Marvel, I would say it was my middle school days. Way back when I knew I wanted to go into some sort of content creation of sort. And back then I thought I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write my own book. And I remember, and I always loved the idea of superheroes, superpowers, superhuman people. So something I thought that I should do was I need to research other superhero things so I can better understand what I want to create. And the first movie I went to see was The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield.
Oh my goodness,
Mhm.
that is the one Spider-Man movie I have not seen.
Really?
Yes, that like, and I have no excuse why, except I guess like right now I can't find it on streaming services anywhere unless I pay money,
Hmm.
and it's money. I need my money.
I get you. Sometimes you gotta bite the bullet, but other times it's like
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, what was it about seeing that first movie, the Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield? Like what did it for you after getting into the theater with him?
Well, that since that film is the most memorable for me, like as the first superhero film I saw, it really stuck with me. I just remember loving the action, loving the story. Do you know what happens in the second film by chance, or?
I know it through like osmosis of being told about it or seeing clips of it, and then of course seeing like No Way Home
Yeah.
and connecting, stuff working backwards on it.
Yeah, so having that happen with the fun scene, I feel like if people have seen it, they'll know what I'm talking about. That stuck with me because I didn't expect it, but
Hmm.
if anything, it was like this is what they take risks with the films, and I just remember leaving the theater wanting more, and I was so excited to see the third Amazing Spider-Man, but then the MCU took over and was like, we're going to recast Peter. So at first I was angry that it wasn't going to be Andrew, but then I fell in love with Tom Holland. But that's another topic. We'll probably get to that.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was really just it was just really like, it was definitely the story I needed to see, because it was similar to the stories I wanted to tell, and I just fell in love from there. From there, I just wanted to see every Marvel film, and I became biased to Marvel as opposed to DC. I've always been more of a Marvel girl, and it's just I've just kept seeing the films and seeing the films, and here I am.
I can definitely understand, especially I think it just is how like your exposure is with like that superhero realm of what were you exposed to first? Like, because I remember buying like Marvel comics and
Mhm.
seeing Marvel animated shows first versus seeing like DC properties, and so it's always been like I always lean Marvel versus, those that really like maybe they read Batman or Superman first, or saw those cartoons first and then entry point DC.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like since Marvel was my first movie I saw, I definitely lean towards Marvel.
After watching like the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and of course having your heart broken that there was not a third one,
Yeah.
um did you just keep rolling with like once the MCU started and it's like, oh, here's Iron Man and Captain America and Thor, and like you just kept watching those? Did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just I know there were some that I missed in theaters just because I didn't have a car back in middle school. Um, yeah,
Dang, middle
I
school not
know.
having cars.
Inconsiderate middle school. But I I saw as many as I could with the friends that were available. I was also watching other big name films. I remember going to see The Hunger Games, all three of them at the different times they came out with a group of friends from my school. So I was exposing myself to a lot of pop culture content inspired by books and comics. So I was always in that area, but alongside that, there was also the Marvel films. Like they were the most memorable ones for me. I vividly remember seeing Captain America: Civil War with some people, and they were all kind of like saying Team Iron Man or Team Captain America, and I was the clever one that was like, I am Team Ant-Man because Ant-Man's the best. Like,
I just want to say, like, I'm just going to pause the podcast for a second.
okay.
Uh, we're paused. We're not really paused, but we're paused because I just want to say that there's not a lot of people that like just go for that, and I love that
Okay.
because I love Ant-Man. I love Paul Rudd. I love what they did with the Ant-Man
Yes,
movies,
me
and
too.
I just want to like this is now going to be like an Ant-Man appreciation like minute right
You
here
know, as it
because
should, because Scotland deserves it.
he does. He's just wonderful, and I can't say anything bad about him because I love him. I love what he gets to do in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Hmm. Yeah, and I remember seeing that film. I would like to argue with myself that I had more fun seeing Ant-Man than Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I think that's why that stuck with me more.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's high praise right
Oh,
there.
yeah, I fell in love with Ant-Man, and I remember I had people that would ask me, who's your favorite superhero? And I would name Ant-Man, and they would be very confused, especially because I don't come off as a nerd. I don't come off as a movie lover or huge into like nerd culture. So when they heard me say Ant-Man, they were like, "You wait, how?" And I was like, "I don't know. You gotta don't judge me by my cover, I guess."
That's right.
Hmm.
Don't judge by the cover because you never. It's always interesting. Like you see people right, and you're like, dang, like that person, you know. Like, and I've recorded with a number of people where it's like you look at them and there's no way that they're into the same things that I am,
I feel that.
and then
Hmm.
then you talk to them for like 5 seconds and you're like, holy, like, I can't believe that you and I are into the same thing. It's probably the most wonderful thing that just happens, is just finding out like these people that you totally do not think they're in like that same universe as you,
Oh yeah.
having that like little
Oh
connection.
yeah, and then you become besties for a hot minute or even longer. So
Absolutely. So, just out of curiosity, did you like, once you got into like the Marvel Cinematic Universe type stuff, did you ever go into like picking up and reading the comics, or like checking out video games or anything like that, or is it primarily the movies for you?
so it is primarily the movies, but I have I'm not really a video game player. I more so like to watch playthroughs online. So
Hmm.
I've seen the Spider-Man video games online, and I have a few comics. Most of them are Silk, but I have read some, and I have a few I need to
Okay.
get through that are other characters. So yeah, the movies was my basis, and then I've expanded from there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, before we get to a certain character and a certain, website of stuff, as far as like the MCU goes, like, you, and I'm not gonna say what's your top one because that's really tough. But like, what's your like favorite movies or favorite TV series in the MCU? Like, where would you go? Like, what would you rewatch if given the choice?
Ooh, I've rewatched the Iron Man films a few times. I don't know why I gravitate to them, but I do. I named the Guardians of the Galaxy as my favorite group. Maybe because I'm a huge lover for Mantis, and am I'm like, if you could see me, like I'm like pinching. I'm like this close to getting a Mantis cosplay presentable, and that's something I've been building since July, and that's a story. But so yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy, I love to death. All the Spider-Man films in the MCU, love them. That's a bias though, and I
Hmm.
know we'll get there. I know we're gonna get there. So I'm trying to say other movies because hey, I've seen other things. And I would say my favorite series, especially for the Phase Four that's come out, definitely. I really like the Hawkeye series. I absolutely loved it. I loved Kate and Yelena. I loved seeing Clint go through his arc. So it's yeah, no. To me the MCU has always been very good. So even the recent stuff.
Okay. I'm gonna make 2 points with what you said. Number one, with you saying that you liked Guardians of the Galaxy because of Mantis. Like, that made me smile.
Oh,
Like, that because I don't feel like she gets a lot of the attention because there's so many great characters in that team. And it's just like Mantis kind of like feels left out at times, and I'm glad that someone recognizes her character. So kudos to
thank
you.
you. I ended up doing a good amount of research on her because last year somebody made a video about how Mantis is very different from her comic book appearance as opposed to the MCU, because in the MCU she appears timid and shy and like gullible, but in the
Hmm.
comics she's seen as one of the strongest Avengers. Very like I know it's a thing that the person that created her, when they saw the Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they were just so disappointed with her because she was not the same character they wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So no. Kudos to Mantis.
Hmm.
Number one. Number two. I'm trying. Oh, kudos. Number two was I. I remember when they announced that they were doing a Hawkeye TV
Hmm.
series, and I was like, "Why?" Because at that point, we'd seen Clint for a couple of movies, and it was never anything, right? It was never like, I remember when they cast Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye. I was like, "Oh, that's great! Like, that's a great casting choice. He does really great work." Excited for his character. Never got anything. And I was like, okay, well, I know that Elena's going to be in it. I got to see Black Widow ahead of time, so it's like, okay, Elena,
Hmm.
cool. Kate, wonderful, because
Hmm.
I love the Young Avengers. And I have to say that out of all of the TV shows that Marvel did, starting in 2021, so all of last year. Hawkeye was one of my favorites because I laughed more in that series than I laughed in any of the other TV shows. I felt like the story arcs were just really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a lot of fun, and I was like, I went in with the lowest of expectations, and I was completely blown away by what they did.
Mm-hmm. I remember being a little apprehensive just because, you never know what you're getting into, but then at the end of it, I fell in love with it. And it helps because I know Yelena is definitely, she has her comic relief moments, and it helps. I see the scene, I hear her audios on TikTok so much. So many people use them. The scene where she makes macaroni and eats it with Kate. Like, I've seen that scene redone so many times by cosplayers. Like, it's iconic at this point.
It's a wonderful, like, that whole thing is just absurd but wonderful, and I love them so much together.
Mhm,
Like,
me too.
I need them together in a movie as soon as possible.
Same. And I hope they'll get there. It would surprise me if they didn't get there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned the character that if people that are listening and they've been only in the Marvel Cinematic Universe existence, they might be like, who is she talking about? And there was a time where I didn't know. Like, I remember her debut in the comics because it was like a big thing. But you're into a character in the Spider-Man universe called Silk.
I'm smiling because I'm like, I knew we were gonna get here.
Well, it's not often that I find someone. I mean, I find people cosplaying Silk a lot. Like on Instagram, it's not hard to find someone cosplaying Silk,
Mhm.
but it's hard to find somebody that's really invested in the character, beyond the suit and beyond the cool look, right? And I think you're one of the first people that I've ever gotten to talk to that has that investment in the character.
I've based my livelihood on her. It's kind of funny at this point.
Well, what is it about Silk? How did you even find out about Silk? Because that's going off of the range of the movies and getting into the comics.
Yeah, it's funny because Silk has yet to make a MCU debut, so it's like, how did I get here? But I'm trying to remember backtracking. So it was summer of 2019. I think that's the summer. I was with a group of friends, and one of my friends in the group, we were in love with Tom Holland and Spider-Man. We had just met each other, and we were basically fangirling to each other, like talking to each other, like talking our ears off, as opposed to everybody else just being like, what are they doing? And she just kind of stops and asks me, do you know Silk? I was like, who is that? And she said, she's the Korean American Spider-Woman. And I was like, there is an Asian American Spider-Woman. And she's like, yes. And she was telling me about her, how she was in a bunker for 10 years, how she has a thing with Peter. And we were both like, oh my gosh, we love Peter Parker. And like, so we were just kind of going off. And I just remember I looked her up so I could see a photo, and I was like, she's real. She's real. And I saw some of the comic strips, and I saw the comic strips with her and Peter, and then I saw her by herself, and I was like, this is so interesting. And it was something that just kept coming back. I hung out with her a good amount of time that summer, and we would always talk about Silk. And I just learned more about her, and I just it became a fixation because I am Asian American, so a part of me just kind of saw myself as her. And then I talked about her so much with other friends that one of them bought me her comics. And
Oh, that's
I know,
awesome.
that was one of the happiest moments. I was like, you bought me the Silk comics, and I just looked through them. Not only was she wasn't even just Peter's love interest at the point, because at first I was like, I love her because she's like, I love the idea of being with Peter, and it's like seeing Cindy and Peter. I was like, that's cute. I love that. But then I actually saw her. I learned about her, and I was like, she's not even Peter's love interest anymore to me, because they don't stay together. They have a pretty lustful relationship. So there's so much more to her than just that moment. her relationship with Peter, and I learned that, and it actually kind of made her better for me. She was somebody that didn't she was somebody that was trying to adjust to a society that she was away from for 10 years. She didn't really know how to trust herself, and therefore she couldn't trust other people. And she was dealing with a good amount of emotions because she was missing her family. Her family is MIA when she starts her arc. And even though like I have my family, I lived away from them. I went to college like halfway across the country from where I grew up. So I was basically alone in a similar sense to her. So slowly but surely I realized I have so many similarities to Cindy that I just felt so much like her. And it helped that she was a spider person because Spider-Man was my first movie I saw. And so that kind of became my bias of like I love Spider-Man. So that didn't that didn't help that I just kind of fell in love with her to the point where I was like I felt like I embodied her in certain aspects. So when I started content creation, when I realized people were dressing up as spider people on TikTok, and I realized people were making friends that way, and I was like, I could try that. I knew I had to be Cindy or try to cosplay Cindy and see what happens, and here I am now. So yeah, she's become a huge part of my life, and I've only known her for about like 3 years now, but I don't know where I'd be if I didn't know who she was.
That's something that I love for people, is that there are characters now that people are either like finding out about, or they're creating or finally having on like a platform where people can see them, where it's like, hey, that represents me. That is like somebody that I identify with, whether it's based on like culture or heritage, race, religion, where it's like, dang, like it's so wonderful now that these characters aren't just the like the Peter Parkers, and now you have like Miles Morales and Cindy, and you have there's a couple other spider people where it's like where they're I'm blanking on her name, and I can see her in my comics,
Anya?
and it's like I know.
Yes.
Yes, Anya. And it's like there's so many people that now people can identify with, where maybe a couple years ago they couldn't, and it's just incredibly wonderful for that to be happening.
And I'm glad we're talking about that now, because you're absolutely correct, and I can definitely like advocate for this, but representation truly matters, because I felt represented through Cindy, which is a big reason why I kind of fixated myself on her. And I've met so many wonderful people that also love Cindy just as much as me. And and it's amazing that I got to meet some amazing people through this character that I probably wouldn't have never met if I didn't know her. So she's done a great wonders for me and other people. So I don't even want to say it's just me. I want to say it's, a good amount of people. And same with the other spider people too. Into the Spider-Verse, showing that like there's not just one single Spider-Man. Anybody can be Spider-Man. Anyone can wear the mask. Definitely one of my favorite messages. Stands so true, and I absolutely love it.
Oh, that scene right there, like I can see it right now. I close my eyes, I see it, because I love that moment in that movie so much.
Definitely.
We're talking Silk, and I would be remiss like to not mention or bring up like the Spider-Man and that you're into Spider-Man. You're all about it. I guess as far as like the movies go, is Tom Holland your favorite Spider-Man? Can you not have a favorite Spider-Man? Like where do you fall in the realm of spiders?
The realm of spiders. I love that. I would say that Tom is my favorite. I know Andrew was the first one I saw, but I think Tom won my heart. It doesn't help that he's a similar age to me, and I fell in love. Tom Holland became my celebrity crush at one point. So, that took some bias there. And yeah, that's kind of, yeah, Tom's my favorite. Yeah. Yeah. Fangirl moment. I love Tom.
I know many of people that are very much on the Tom
Hmm.
train,
Hmm.
as far as like the Spider-Man goes, and I love that of the three, like he lined up real close as far as like age wise, to playing Peter at the get
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. And when Homecoming came out, I was in high school and he was a high schooler. So if anything, I felt like I was the same age as Peter. So I think that's another reason why I kind of fixated on him, was because I felt like I was, this is gonna sound so cheesy, I felt like I was growing up with him.
That's
Yeah.
not cheesy at
Yeah.
all.
Like I definitely aged quicker in the sense because I was in high school when the first film came out, and I was out of college when No Way Home came out. But yeah, time is irrelevant.
Well, time takes all forms in the Marvel Cinematic
Hmm.
Universe. Yeah, I remember when they had announced, that they had made the deal with Sony and they were going to do another Spider-Man movie. I was like, please, fingers crossed, please let it be Miles. Like I was like, we,
Yes,
we had 5 movies of Peter Parker. Can we just have like Miles? And I still have faith. I have faith that Miles will be in the next set of movies at
I
some
have faith
point.
too.
Uh,
Honestly, I could see multiple Spider people coming in. Even Black Cat. I count Black Cat as a Spider person, even though, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's totally like she's in that realm of like that kind of like cast
Yeah.
of
Am
characters.
I allowed to talk about like post events of No Way Home? Okay,
Absolutely.
double
Yes.
checking just in
Yes.
case people haven't seen it.
Go forth.
Yes,
Go forth.
because the
Yes.
way that No Way Home ends, where no one remembers Peter, including Michelle. Um, I know, like at first I was like, no, I want them to be together. But if anything, it kind of gave me this small thought where they could totally bring in another love interest for Peter to show Peter that MJ is his one and only. And I was thinking that Cindy would be a really good character for that, because they're not supposed to be super romantic in the comic origins. If anything, they're, like I've said before, like they have a more lustful relationship, but that doesn't mean they hate each other. At points, eventually they like grow used to each other and they're friends. So I think that's like, imagine Peter having that relationship with Cindy, and then because of that he realizes MJ is his one and only. And even then, like, it's not even like he's like dumping Cindy and she's super in love with him, because Cindy's not in love with him. So if anything, it works in both their favor if they kind of like try it out and they realize it doesn't work. And if anything, it's kind of like it's a side of dating that people don't see if we're going to talk about real life things. So I don't know. I have this huge thing where I just really want to see that in the films. And let's be honest, they might not do it because I said it out loud.
Well, let me tell you, I've not heard of Marvel. I don't know if Marvel is listening or has listened. I've definitely talked with a number of people about like what they should
Hmm.
do. It hasn't happened yet. At least I haven't seen it. Maybe one day they'll reach out and be like, "Hey, that's really a cool idea. Let's do this."
And we'll
And
give
if
you
they do
money
that,
for the
that'd be
idea.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take
Yes.
some
And then
money.
you can buy Amazing Spider-Man too.
I can finally see it and live my dream of completion as
Woo.
spiders. Now with like you, they're doing at least 3 more movies
Hmm.
with Tom. Is the word on the street, as far as like what Sony has said and what Marvel has said and the negotiations and whatnot. What would you like to see, or who would you like to see? And obviously Silk is one of those characters that you'd like to see, but what would you like to see out of like another trilogy with Tom as Spider-Man?
Definitely the arc I said about Cindy and Silk being there. I would love to see that, but I could also see that being something that happens with Felicia Hardy. So it doesn't have to be Cindy, even though I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then just also having Miles, a live action Miles in the MCU would be awesome. I would love to see the relationship from the video games in the MCU, because that's how I think it would fit well. And then maybe like they start with the fourth film for Tom as like he's the center, but then because they introduced another Spider Person, the main character can be the other Spider Person they introduce, which would be really cool, because then instead of Tom being front and center like he was for the past 3 films, he would share the spotlight, if not kind of like give them the spotlight. And I know Tom said that sharing the spotlight with another Spider would be amazing. And I know he's name dropped Miles and Cindy, and I've just been like, oh, he knows who Silk is. Like, I have that little moment of, oh my god, he knows Silk. So
He knows who I am. He knows me.
But he also doesn't know me as the cosplayer. But
It's definitely something where I'm really excited, especially now, because with the previous 3 movies, like it was always like a Spider-Man and insert character here, like Spider-Man and Iron Man, Spider-Man and Nick Fury, or Mysterio, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. And I'm really looking forward to like Spider-Man alone. Like what will he get into? Obviously, with No Way Home, the Venom symbiote is left behind, like the small piece.
That reminds me, of another thing I want, and I've talked about this before, and I've had people shoot this idea down, but I really want them to, this is going to sound so weird, but it comes from the Ultimate Spider-Man series. I want them to introduce Harry Osborn, and I want him to become Venomized. Yeah, it's such a jump. But
as somebody, like, that's the ultimate comic book series, like with the Spider-Man and X-Men, is like the big ones that I used to collect. And I'm like, I love like whenever they pull stuff out of those comics to use in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it's so good. Like there's like a whole clone, like spider clone thing that was going on during Ultimate Spider-Man at one point, and it's like which one of the spiders was like a female Peter Parker.
Yes,
and it's like, that's really cool.
Is that, correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know the comics too well, is that where Ben Reilly comes from?
Yeah, Ben Reilly comes from like the original like spider clone story, like way back in like the original comics. And then they did it again in the Ultimate Marvel universe, where there's a whole bunch of clones. And like the one that I was always like keen on was like there's a female Peter Parker, like she was Peter Parker but female, and it's like that, and like she took on the role of, I can't remember what they called her in that comic run, but is really cool just to see like the different versions of Peter.
No, I love that.
But clones are always interesting and fun and fascinating to get into and see
definitely.
what goes on. So we got, and then of course I'd almost be remiss to not mention like the actual like Into the Spider-Verse movie, because we've got that coming out. I believe, is it? I think it's this year.
Oh, I think
the animated one, it should be coming out. I think it's this year, or maybe it's next year. I cannot remember.
I'm about to look this up. Across the Spider-Verse. I spelled spider with a U, so it's Spooderverse.
Spooderverse.
Yeah, 2022. So this October. Wow, awesome. That is so soon.
And it's like part 1 of like who knows how many, because they had said like, because it's like the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, and then they had also announced that they were going to do a female version of that with a number of the female like spiders, and it's like I would love to see that.
So
please
if
let me
I
have
don't
that.
see Cindy in any way, shape, or form, I will riot. Like I will not hesitate. I will not hold back. I'm at this point where I'm just like, I need to see her in more than just the comics and one video game, because I know she's in a fighting game, but I need more.
Absolutely. And I think they would be remiss. Like, there's already like all the designs out there
Hmm.
for her. Like, she shouldn't be that hard to like
Oh,
get in
definitely.
there and put in there, especially on the animated side where they can do a lot more with having however many characters, because they made like what, 7 characters working
Oh
into the
yeah,
Spider-Verse.
I
So
desperately want to hear. I want to hear her voice. I want to hear somebody bring her to life, and it doesn't matter if it's live action or animated. I need to live to see that. So
100%. Now, before we move on, I want to jump back to like the main Marvel cinematic
yes.
side. We've been delayed. We lost a whole year of Marvel stuff due to the pandemic. Like 2020 was just like
Oh
nothing
yeah.
Marvel. Last year we got like a bajillion things of Marvel, and that's gonna be how it continues like for the foreseeable
Hmm.
future now. Um, what are you most looking forward to of stuff that they've announced, like as far as like either the TV side or the movie side? What's on your radar for things that you are ready for?
I believe Guardians of the Galaxy is getting a holiday special, correct? That's the
Yes.
first thing that comes to mind that I know is coming out and doesn't have a trailer, because I saw the Multiverse of Madness trailer and that's exciting. I'm very excited for that. After seeing Shang-Chi, I'm so excited to see him in more things. I would say Shang-Chi is one of my favorite Marvel films at this point. I'm surprised I haven't talked about him yet. I think it's just because we were so focused on my origin story with Marvel, I didn't get to the where I am now. But yeah, Shang-Chi became one of my favorite Marvel characters, and I'm very excited to see him return. No matter where it is. There's so much already coming out. I'm excited for, and knowing me, I'm gonna see as much of it as I can.
Absolutely, and I'll just throw out there, because I'd hate to leave Scott out of it. Like, Ant-Man
Yes.
3. That's not this year. It'll be, I think it's next year. But dang, if I'm looking forward to that one.
I will patiently wait for that because it will be good. I have no hesitation there. It will be good.
It will be good.
It
I will
will be
make it that
good.
way. Listen here, Marvel.
Yeah, basically.
And I love like your enthusiasm and energy for Spider-Man and Marvel. But we got to move on, because there's
Hmm.
there's more out there in the world of
Of
Cindy,
fandoms, yes. Fandoms
and of
and
fandoms.
Cindy.
And I will say the next one that we are going to talk about is something that I've never seen.
Really?
I don't know why. I'm not sure. I can't put a finger on it. But and I'm gonna make sure that I pronounce it correctly, because I don't know. I've never seen it. And so it's Over the Garden Wall.
Yes, yes, you pronounced that beautifully. But
Wonderfully.
it doesn't,
Wonderful.
yes, it doesn't surprise me that you haven't seen it because it is a very niche, it's a very niche fandom, if you want to call it that. It is a 10 episode miniseries that came out in 2015. But the reason why it is so significant to me, we're about to talk about me beyond a content creator. It is the show that made me realize I wanted to go into animation as my full-time career. So that's why I name it as one of the most significant fandoms for me.
And I like, because we're going to talk about it being significant, because whenever like smaller things pop up from when people like send in their thing about like what fandoms they're into, and I notice like certain things where it's like, huh, that seems out of place. I wonder, like, and it's why I
Yeah.
wanted to pick something like that's not the Marvel or Avatar or Batman, stuff like that, because there's got to be some reason why you're listing that. But I googled Over the Garden Wall,
Hmm.
and one of the Google searches that comes up with is, what's the deal with Over the Garden Wall?
Hmm.
So that's a great question to ask you, is what's the deal with Over the Garden Wall?
The deal is yes. No, I can elaborate. I can
I like,
elaborate.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, the deal is yes.
The deal is a very good animated story that knows when to end. Because I think when it comes to certain animated series, they go on forever. And sometimes they don't know when to end. I've noticed recently that, especially with kids animation, they have a definitive ending. Like, they know where the story will end. Gravity Falls did the same thing. And I loved Gravity Falls. I still do. And Over the Garden Wall has a similar feel to it. And I think that's why I fell in love with that show as well. And the fact that it was 10 minisodes, I think it was easy to watch. I don't even consider it a miniseries sometimes. I consider it a very long movie, because you can sit down and watch the whole thing in like 2 or 3 hours, and you're golden. Not 2 or 3, like, I would say like 4 hours maybe.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Like that, because I pulled it up and it's like runtime 11 minutes, and it's like, well, I can burn through those episodes real quick.
Oh, definitely. And they played those episodes in between shows on Cartoon Network way back when, and I remember like watching the recordings, because this was back when we had like the recording feature on whatever TV streaming thing my family and I had, and so I would have the recordings. I would go into the certain feature where you can like pull up like the Cartoon Network shows, and it was a show that I just kept coming back to no matter what. I was not getting tired of it. It has the mystery to it, what's going on in this unknown world that these two boys are in. It has it had like very witty humor. It's like the subtle like one-liners, like the little boy with the teapot on his head, Greg. He is a very funny comic relief character, but he's more than just the comic relief, considering what his arc is in the story. People that have seen Over the Garden Wall will know what I'm talking about there. And yeah, just definitely having that story wrap up fully. Like, the person that made the show knew when to end it, and I really admired that. Pat McHale is the creator. I admired him because he was like, I know when this show will end, when I say it will.
Were you catching this when it was airing, or were you watching something and then all of a sudden, like, here's this random thing in between your shows and you're like, what's this? And I like it.
I was catching it at the prime time of it being released. So I think I started seeing it when all the episodes were available. Actually, no, I think I might have been seeing it halfway when the episodes are available. Because I saw this early. I saw this very early for this show, and I was going back to the episodes so much, so it all blurs. And I remember I was struggling to figure out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, because, after high school, you're supposed to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. Correction, that is not that is not true. Like, you can figure it out post graduation of high school, but when I was that age, I genuinely thought I needed to figure it all out. And I was in a friend group where everybody knew what they wanted to be. I had a friend that was going into culinary, and she always wanted to go into culinary. I had like 3 engineer friends that are still engineers, like biomed friends, and I just like, I do not know where I want to go. And I remember saying to myself, after my 100th million view of one of the episodes of Over the Garden Wall, I just went, I want to make a show like this. I want to make a story like this. And I just stopped. I was like mid-walk when I thought that, and I stopped walking. And I went, I could do that if I got an animation degree. And that's when I realized I wanted to go into animation. And I'm a proud graduate of should I name the college? Nah, I'm not going to name the college. I have a proud animation degree. I have a BFA with a concentration in storyboard and character design. And my job, when I'm not doing content creation, I am a junior animator at a video production studio right now. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. So I've taken this show and ran. I've sprinted, and then I've stopped because sprinting is hard. I've walked at some points, but then I ran. So
I'm sorry. I had that visualization of like running and then you stopping. And it's like, okay, just give me a moment. Let me take a break. Yeah. And then starting back up again. Like
I realized me saying sprint would not emphasize the parts where it's like you struggle when you go through college and you wonder if this is actually the right choice. Because going through college and classes, you struggle with stuff. So, um, but yeah, no, I pinpoint the Over the Garden Wall as the start of that and where I am. So,
That's incredible for a piece of media like that to be so influential,
mhm.
to like to set that course for you, like to be like, here's this piece of media, and it's like, bam, like I want to do that. How can I make that happen? And then just for your trajectory to go in that direction, so that way you can make it happen. That is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's definitely crazy how everything 180'd for me after that. Um, and it's funny because he kind of Pat McHale and Over the Garden Wall played like a weird motif throughout my entire I hope motif is the right word. It was always around when I was in college. One of my professors, my cartoon, what's the right way to say it? My illustration professor, my first illustration professor, was the storyboard artist for the second episode of Over the Garden Wall.
What? That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
when I found that out, I was like, say less. And if you look at the art of Over the Garden Wall, you will see my professor's name, but you'll see it misspelled because they spelled his name wrong. And then my storyboard professor, my second storyboard professor, was one of his classmates at Cal Arts, Pat McHale's classmates at Cal Arts, and he would just he showed us a short film that Pat made during his college years, and my professor told the story about how everybody was angry at Pat because he waited till the last minute to make that film, and it was one of the best films in the class. So they were like tirelessly working on this animated film, and then Pat was like the day before was like, oh right, I have an assignment, and just spat this thing out. So yeah, it's funny how he kind of kept coming up during my college years.
That is just so incredibly, like, it's mind blowing. Like to have
Mm-hmm.
like you getting into animation based on this show, and then to have people that are connected to the show being in your education, it's
Yes.
just, one, like, it's like I was smiling as you're telling me the story, because it's
Oh,
just it's something that, you know, how could you expect that to happen, and yet it did for you. Like, that's
yeah.
wonderful.
No, it was very, if anything, it was very much a coincidence. And even going farther um into my life as a content creator, one of my good friends, she goes by China Charms on TikTok and Instagram. One of her, like, she names Over the Garden Wall as her favorite cartoon, and she does a cosplay of one of the characters. And I remember when I found out, I was like, you're now my new best friend because you love this show just as much as I do. And so it's funny that it also shows up in my content creation life as well.
That that is just incredible.
Hmm.
Like, that's so cool. And it's something where, like, now I've got it on my list, because I've got to like check it out, because
Yes. And
I
I would
need to.
highly recommend that if you don't get to it right away, I would wait for the fall season, and I would recommend having a nice apple cider with it, cuz you'll feel good. It's very much a fall aesthetic film. So, fall aesthetic show, I shouldn't call it a film.
Well, then I'll have to make a note of that, so that way I can be ready for it
Yes.
but the problem is that I live in Florida, so there's
Ah,
no seasons. It's, it's hot
uh,
essentially.
understandable. I was in Florida last weekend.
I saw your Instagram
Yeah.
picture, and I was like,
Yeah,
yeah.
one of my best friends lives down there, so we were just partying it up, aka hanging out.
Yes, and adventuring and
Yes.
doing cool stuff, because I see the picture, and it's awesome.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I had a good time. I had a good time. So,
We talked about Marvel and Spider-Man and Over the Garden Wall, and obviously like how influential Over the Garden Wall what or is for you, for
mhm.
your like real life stuff. And of course, like as I mentioned at the beginning, you are on Instagram, and I found you via your cosplays, because that's, when I started the podcast, I used to say like, oh, where can I find people that might want to even talk to me about what they like? I'm like, well, cosplayers, blood, sweat, tears, and money go into what they do, and maybe they want to talk beyond like what they post on the pictures and stuff. And I had stumbled across, and I found it while we were talking, because I always like to find like the first picture, right? The first thing that where
Oh,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
where did I first stumble across you? And I think it was your bell that you did. Is
Really?
it looks like that's the first one. Then I typically go backwards from the first one. So like there's your Katara was one of them, and Silk was another one. But I'm pretty sure it's the bell where it's you put into the animated scene, reading the book at the fountain. That was the first picture that I had stumbled across. I believe somebody had shared it, and
Oh,
I work backwards from that way.
I loved that photo. I remember making that.
But that's how I stumble across you. You are a cosplayer. You do wonderful work with a number of different characters.
Thank you.
So my question is, how did you get into cosplay? Like, what was the draw for you to be like, I want to dress up as different characters?
I'm definitely gonna touch upon something I talked about a while back in our conversation, but ultimately seeing spider people cosplayers on TikTok would really piqued my interest. Before that, I knew what cosplay was and I had friends that did it, but it was never something I wholeheartedly thought was going to take over my life in the literal sense. And then fast forward to knowing who Cindy is, fast forward to feeling like I embody her. I remember there was a convention in the area my college was at, and some of my friends and I were like, we should go. And I was like, ooh, I could dress up as Silk for that. So I was already getting my first Spider-Man suit. I remember one of my college friends was like, I've done it before and this is what you should do. So I like followed his instruction. And then around that time was when I discovered TikTok and then cosplayers on TikTok. And I was like, oh wow, I can kill two birds with one stone with this suit because I can just make TikToks in it. And that's exactly what I did. And the first cosplay I did, because I was way too eager to wait for the silk suit to fully come in, the first cosplay I did was Michelle Jones. And I remember running to the Goodwill in my hometown and being like, okay, what I need this, this, and this. And I surprisingly found everything I needed for her. And I still use it for the cosplay. And I got so excited. I started making videos. I started duetting some Spider-Man. And my account didn't really take off until I introduced Silk. The first few videos did okay, but then there was one video, I remember I was at a doctor's appointment, and I just opened TikTok, and I was like, why does my video have 400 likes? I was like, what? I was confused, but I was like, okay with it. And I think that night I reached 100 followers, and I was like, hooray! And then 2 days later, I reached 1,000, and I was like, what's going on? It was very confusing, but I don't question it, so...
No, you just gotta let it ride.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then because of that, I met so many content creators, and I think they definitely encouraged me to keep cosplaying, go outside the realm of Spider-Man cosplay, because I ended up introducing other characters. Granted, they were all closet cosplays of them back then, because that was before I realized I can purchase cosplays with my money. I remember I did a modern Katara, and from there, I met a good amount of other cosplayers that were doing the same thing, and some of them are still my closest friends. So
Yeah, it's a wonderful arrangement of characters that you have. Obviously, like Belle was the first one. I noticed your Silk cosplay right away once I started like looking into what you had done, and there's some I want to mention, because I have a love for a character that got really like poo-pooed on. I love your Rose covers that you did.
oh, thank you.
And
Yes.
I love Rose, and I'm so happy that I keep finding people that cosplay her.
Yes, she was definitely one of the characters I knew I wanted to do, because something I realized when I started, like, I took a step back and I was like, okay, I have this platform now suddenly, and I am doing more than just silk. What should I do? And something I realized was, based on what everybody I saw that were cosplay, like when I saw people cosplay Guardians of the Galaxy and they were starting the chains on TikTok, like duetting each other, I never really saw a mantis jump into it. So something that kind of like in my head, I was like, oh, I could be the mantis because, I would love to cosplay her. She's also an Asian character and I would love to embody the Asian character. And that kind of happened for other areas as well. It's like, yeah, no, my thing, I try to bring as many Asian characters to life because I noticed compared to other characters, I don't really see that many cosplayers do them. So it's like I've yet to see a Mantis cosplayer like do Mantis. Like I've seen them, but then they like disappear off the app for like a year. So it's like, where did they go? Yeah. So it's like that's become my thing.
Now, how do you decide like which characters, like in general, how do you decide like which characters you're going to cosplay? Is it more that you love the character? Is it more that you love like the outfit or character design, or is it a combination of both?
I would say it's a combination of both and just how I feel about them. There are characters I have cosplayed just to join a group, and it's either been a hit or a miss for me. I cosplayed Lila Pitts from the Umbrella Academy because my friend group they were all doing Umbrella Academy cosplays, but I name Lila Pitts as one of my least favorite cosplays. Not because like I did poorly with her, but it's just that I just realized I forced myself to cosplay her and I didn't enjoy it. So it's like you really gotta, something I realized with cosplay is like you really gotta play around with the characters and like figure out who you like, who you don't like. It's okay if you try cosplaying somebody and you realize you don't vibe with them, because that's happened to me. Or you can just, the first time you ever cosplay them doesn't have to be the last. There are cosplays I have brought to TikTok and or Instagram that I have yet to bring back again because I'm trying to revamp them. Katara is actually one of the biggest examples. I did a modern version and then I went to a canon version of her, like from the cartoons. And I've started concepting a newer version of Katara, where I just don't even follow what she looks like in the show. I'm trying to make my own design of her right now. Like, the only thing I have now is a sketch, but it's something I really want to do.
And that's really cool. Like I love seeing people take the characters and taking them in a completely different direction. And I absolutely love when people get to do that and go out of like the normal like comfort zone of, well, this is what the character looks like and this is what they wear and that's what I'm going to do. Like, love it. But I love getting to see like whole different takes and like different, like they're like, well, this is what would happen if Katara was in, say, like an alternate universe where like maybe the Avatar was never found, or maybe like they got occupied, all sorts of like different versions where people are like, let's just see where to go with this character what we can do.
And honestly, seeing people do that type of stuff with their cosplays, it's so inspiring and it's so creative. It's some of my favorite stuff I've seen. Building a cosplay from scratch as opposed to buying it. Both are really good methods. I've noticed that when I buy stuff, sometimes I have to modify it to fit me better. Some of my cosplays, most of the ones I still use, I thrifted all of it.
And that right there is number one, awesome. And number two, like I'm always amazed. I'm always amazed by people that do like either the closet cosplays or the Disneybounds, and I'm like, there's no way. Like I look at my clothes and I'm like, I have t-shirts and khaki shorts or jeans, and yeah, I've got nothing. I've got nothing that would make me look like a character.
No, I Disneybounded Raya when I went to Disney this past weekend, and I ended up buying a new hat and a belt. And the vest I had was one that my mom and I made together because we're building a Raya cosplay together. Fun fact. And so it was just kind of me taking something from like a cosplay, but then taking clothes I just so happened to own and then purchasing from Target. So yeah, when it comes to like building that type of stuff, it's like have fun with it, look around, research, thrift. I always recommend thrifting because it's a fun way to try to build stuff. So I built Katie Chen entirely off of thrifting. I found her jacket and her jeans on Depop.
It's so incredible just to see like the stuff that people come up with and just be like, oh yeah, I found it here, or I found this jacket and it just happened to work, or you know, it's incredibly wonderful to like see that happen. It's like it must be fate. It must be like that kismet of like it was meant to be and now here it is.
Oh yeah, I've definitely had those moments when I find something online. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's incredible. Now, with your characters, as far as the characters go that you've done, obviously, and I feel like I'm going to keep coming back to Silk to kick things off with. Like, I feel like Silk is like the character that you most identify with. Perhaps I don't want to like, you know, lead with that.
I definitely see her as number one when I name characters that I relate to. So much that I named my platform off of her. So. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just a little bit, you know, a little bit of influence there.
Yeah, so she's definitely number one, but there are definitely other characters out there that I see I see as somebody I can like portray or kind of embody. So it's not just Silk, and that's something that I'm very glad that when it comes to my content, the people that follow me, they know I'm not just Silk, that I can just I can also be myself, the person that is more than Silk. Because I've posted things that are out of cosplay per se, and then I've posted things from other fandoms. Like I've gotten into anime recently because my friends are super huge anime fans, and I only know like the bigger name ones like Danganronpa and My Hero, and I've cosplayed from both. But I probably would never have touched them if I didn't have my friends that were like, you should watch this. And I was like, okay. So.
Now for the, you know, the characters that you have done, like, are there ones that you look to and you're like, you know what, this was awesome. I loved getting to be this character. And, you know, just, I'm so glad that I was able to like be them.
I can name, just on top of my head, Katie Chen is one of them. I loved her in Shang-Chi. And I do want to do her Tai Lo look where she's in the red robe. And I want to get a bow and arrow that will actually look like I'm holding a bow and arrow. I have a kid's one right now, but I want to get like a big one so I can look like I know what I'm doing. The other character that comes to mind to me right now is it's the character from Danganronpa I cosplay. Her name's Aoyasa Hina. She is the anime she's in takes place in like high school, and she's known as the swimmer of her class. So, and I was actually a swimmer in my high school days. Even I started swimming when I was 9, and then I became a swimmer in high school. So when I saw that, I was just like, oh, so that's me, but in high school form. That's literally what I said, and it's funny because I brought Hina to Anime NYC, and the goggles I wear in the photos that you can find on my Instagram, the goggles I wear were the goggles I wore as a swimmer.
That's not only thrifting, but that's like tying it all in.
Oh yeah, when I realized I could wear the goggles, I was like, oh, that just makes everything 10 times better. She easily became one of my favorite cosplays because not only that, something about her character is that she loves donuts. That's her favorite food, and so I have donut earrings, and her wig, she has a gravity defying ponytail, and I somehow managed to get a ponytail to like stick up into the sky, and even I'm surprised with myself. But she was like a character I very much labored into. Like, I need to do her correctly. So.
And that's awesome, like to be able to do that character, and then because I'm looking at the wig right now, I'm like, dang, you know, like,
oh yeah,
it's always amazing to see the level of like, you think you look at it and you're like, that can't be hard. And then like I see the people that do like the wig creations on Instagram. It's like, dang, like the amount of work that goes into making a wig and making it work is beyond like my brain comprehension sometimes.
Oh, same. I remember watching tutorials of people making spikes for the wigs, and then there was a tutorial out there for Aui's wig. So I remember watching that and just being like, what?
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Now, and one of the things that every cosplayer has a list, right? And
Oh,
and I
yes.
know you've touched on a few things or a few characters that you'd love to do, or a few different projects. What is on your list? What are some, especially for like the year that is 2022? What would you love to do? Who would you love to be this year?
Yes. The answer is yes. I want to do
The answer
everyone.
is yes. Again, the answer is yes.
In all seriousness, I definitely want to do more versions of Cindy/Silk. I've always wanted to do her West Coast look, aka Silkworm, where she has a yellow stripe on her outfit and like goggles, and like she has a ponytail. I really want to cosplay her, but I also want to do her web suit, which is the first suit she kind of webs herself up of,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, post bunker. I really want to make a gown, aka I want to like buy a long skirt on Amazon and make a top, but I want to do like a quote unquote prom look for Silk. So like Silk's always on the plans list. I'm not just doing her in her suit. I want to do so many more versions of Silk, even ones that aren't canon. So
Wild West Silk.
wild. Please, I will buy a cowboy hat and wear my silk suit. Yeehaw. But yeah, outside of Silk, I also have named a few characters. I made a plans list before the year started, and one of the ones that I've already done that was on it was Raya. But I also named Mantis, and I consider her a cosplay because she has yet to debut. Katie Chen's hero look. I named Serena from Pokemon, so Pokemon XY, because that's my favorite Pokemon series. What
Okay.
else? What else is on there? I want to do Cersei from Eternals.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
my friends thankfully really want to do an Eternals group, and we all have chosen the Eternals we want to do. So I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I'll just jump on this bandwagon with them.
It's always nice when you have friends that want to like share in the joys of having things to do together.
Oh yeah, it makes things 10 times more fun.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Cindy, I feel like we're at the end, unfortunately. Like I could keep going, but I know that number one, like you've already given your time, and like I can't keep you here forever, and at least not 10 years in a bunker on a podcast.
Oh yeah, that would be fun and very much a confusion. But
yeah. And I don't imagine that you have like web magic powers like to do things. But
you can't just, of course I do. What are you talking about?
But for people that have listened and they want to check out your work and find you out there on the socials, what are the best places to do so?
So the two best places to find me are on TikTok and Instagram with the same handle. It's Cindy Moon, and that is 7 O's. And then on my accounts, you'll see a link tree with other ways to support me. I have a Ko-Fi, I have an Amazon wish list. I even have a YouTube channel. I have yet to make a video, but that's something I'm really hoping happens this year, that I start a YouTube channel. So we'll see if that happens soon.
But listen, I too have a YouTube channel that has nothing on it.
Love that.
And I asked my 12-year-old son, I was like, hey, can you show me how to like make this thing into like a video? And he did it in like 2 minutes. And I'm like, I spent hours trying to figure that out. So I YouTube, people that do YouTube stuff, so many kudos to like the work that you put into it, because my old brain just doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel that.
And I'm not even on my wife is on the TikTok stuff, and I occasionally see stuff, and it's like, oh, that's really cool. And then I'm like, I don't understand any of it, but like, I'm lucky I can post pictures on things.
Oh, I feel that one.
But I do want to say, Cindy, thank you for taking the time out of your life to come talk to me on the podcast, and especially for getting to talk about a character that you love in Silk, because again, I haven't really had the opportunity to find somebody that really knew of the character and loved them as you do. So I want to say, like, I really appreciate that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/talesfromthefandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.